Welcome to Tea Time with Chris, a podcast that celebrates faith, humor, and the power of storytelling. I'm Chris Tomlinson, your host, and I'm thrilled to invite you to join me for engaging conversations with people from all walks of life. Together, we'll sip some tea, or whatever you prefer, and explore life's joys and challenges with a focus on hope, inspiration, and positivity. I'll also share some of my personal stories and some poetry to add a touch of intimacy and creativity to our chats. So join me as we spread love, joy, and laughter with each episode. Welcome to Tea Time with Chris. Welcome to another episode of Tea Time with Chris. As usual, I am your host, Chris. Today's episode, I'm going to talk about something that I'm sure we've all dealt with and probably still dealing with, and that is comparing ourselves to others. I know that growing up, I did it a lot, and I know that even now today, I still do it. Something that we kind of need to change, and hopefully what I say today will help you in some way, encourage you. But before we do that, let's jump into this week's flavor of tea. This week's flavor of tea is called sencha, and it originates from Japan. It's a traditional Japanese green tea that is made from the first flush of tender tea leaves, which are gently steamed to preserve their vibrant green color and fresh flavor. It has a delicate and grassy taste with a subtle umami sweetness and a refreshing vegetal aroma. It's rich with antioxidants, particularly catechins like EGCG, which are associated with various health benefits, including supporting heart health, boosting metabolism, and promoting overall well-being. I've never had this tea. It sounds pretty good. With that, let's jump into today's episode of Tea Time with Chris, called Comparing. So growing up, did you ever look at other kids in your class or in your school and you compared yourself to them? Like maybe you weren't athletic and you wanted to be, and you compared yourself to the athletic kids. Or maybe you compared yourself to the artistic kids or whatever it may be. Growing up, compared myself to a lot of kids. I always wanted to be just like they were. I wanted to run and play and do everything they could do. You know, I looked up to the kids who could play sports. I would always try to do the sports with them. I've talked about this in previous episodes, and I never could. And I compared myself to those kids a lot because, you know, I saw the things they could do. And then I looked at myself and thought, well, I can't do that. And why can't I do that? And so I would put myself down and think that those people were better than me because they could play sports. I know even for me, at least going out in public, growing up, I compared myself a lot to other people. I would see people who seemed like they had their life together, seemed like they were just perfect, and it just seemed like anything they faced or went through, it was like nothing. I'd compare my physical features with other people. I would get really mad and upset that I didn't look as good as this person or as good as that person. And I didn't have this like they did, or this skill or this feature of their face or hair or whatever it may be. And I compared myself. During my teenage years was when my physical appearance really hit me. I really noticed it. Because growing up as younger, I really didn't realize what I looked like. I knew, I was burned and I knew I had differences compared to other people, but I still didn't let it bother me because I was such a little kid that I just was too busy thinking of how to have fun and enjoy life. And then as I grew up, as a teenager, it started to hit me. Went through depression and suicidal things and compared myself to everybody I saw. It didn't matter who it was. I compared myself to them. And thought that they were better than me because of what they could do and I couldn't do, or how they looked, and I can't look that way. Now, growing up into my adulthood, I still compare myself. Maybe not the same aspects as when I was a kid or a teenager, but I still compare myself. You see, I think it's something that we all do. We see things on social media, or we see things at the grocery store, or at work, or wherever it may be, and we compare our life to their life. And we think that we're failing in some way because we're not on the same path in life as other people. A lot of times I will compare my life and look at people who have full-time jobs and have a full family. They have that look about them that it just seems like they're successful in life and nothing really bothers them. A big thing I do is I compare myself to other people in church or online in their walk with God. A lot of times I beat myself up because I see people doing something for God and living such a godly life, or however you want to call it. And then I think, well, this isn't happening, or I don't hear God like that, or I don't feel the Spirit. I don't raise my hand and worship, and I don't do this and this and this and this and this. And I go down and compare every aspect of my life with someone who I just caught a few seconds of their life. And I automatically just think, they're all set, they're good. And then I think to myself, I'm a horrible person. There's nothing good about me. And I've seen it in other people that I know. I've observed it in public too with other people that I don't know. There's this image of what a perfect person should be. Where first of all, I need to remind you guys, there's nobody perfect on this face of this earth. No one. There's only one person that was perfect and still perfect, and that's Jesus. But we're human. We have flaws. We're full of flaws, unfortunately. And we're gonna mess up. Every one of us messes up. Every one of us goes through hard times. And I think every one of us may even compare ourselves to other people. As a kid, as I had mentioned in previous episodes, is that I used to go through a lot of surgeries and be in the hospital a lot and have to deal with things that not many people have to deal with. And I would go to school, and I remember every morning before going to school, I would try to pump myself up. I would think of something to look forward to at school. I would think of, okay, well, I got this class and these people are in that class and I can do this and this, or I can look forward to seeing my friends in that class, or I can look forward to whatever they're serving at lunch today, or whatever it may be. And then I would get to school, and a lot of times I would hear conversations or see other kids and start to compare myself. I'd hear about kids who have this really good grade of something that they did in school and they're celebrating it, and I hear about other kids that are going to the playoffs or they made it on their team. I hear about kids who got some new video game system or got some kind of new hat or some form of clothes. And or I hear about kids who just were able to do something, like I remember one kid I grew up with in school. He was really good at just seeing like movie stunts. And I remember when the Matrix movie came out and it was really popular and everything. I hadn't seen it yet. I do remember that I'd seen some scenes or heard about some scenes where the people were running on the walls and jumping high and all this stuff. And this kid, who seemed like anything you told him, he could just do it easily. And I remember him running into the locker room one day, and he ran so fast and he jumped up that he actually ran across the lockers, like as if he was running across the wall. And I remember standing there looking at this kid like, man, this kid's so cool. He can do anything. And then I remember during a time that I was walking, I forget where I was walking to. It was during school sometime. I was walking maybe to another class or I don't remember what, but nobody else was out in the hallways or in the locker room. And I remember thinking, I wonder if I could run on the walls like this kid can. Now here's a kid who can barely run, who can barely even walk, limps and everything, has only one hand, and whose balance is so bad that it's just horrible. And I'm thinking, maybe I can run on the walls. I remember looking around the hallways, making sure nobody was around, and I got all excited. I could feel my heartbeat going so fast in my chest, and I'm taking deep breaths, just getting ready to pump myself up to run fast enough to run on lockers. I build up the energy that I think I have enough energy, and I start pushing my legs to run. And I ran as fast as I could, which wasn't really that fast, but to me it felt like I was a little faster than I usually do. And I jump up to go on the locker, and nothing happens. Instead, I body slam into the side of a locker. And I remember standing there in pain and just shaking my head like, man, I couldn't even get up even once. I was so mad. I was so upset at myself that I just beat myself up because I couldn't run on a locker. But it wasn't just that either, because I would just compare myself to other kids. Because I would see how good they're doing in school and how good they're doing even outside of school, because a lot of them went to my church, so I saw them outside of school, and a lot of them I saw out in public because they lived around the area and stuff. And a lot of times I became jealous because I wanted to be just like, everybody else. And it didn't occur to me that me being just Chris was what I needed to be. Yeah, I couldn't run as fast. Yeah, I couldn't do everything all the other kids could do, and I wasn't making good enough. That I was making okay grade, but it wasn't that great because I missed a lot of school. I was always in the hospital. I remember laying in the hospital beds after surgery and thinking of friends and just imagining what they were doing, just playing outside or playing video games or doing whatever. And I would look around my surrounding at all the hospital walls and listen to the beeping of the machinery and just looking at myself and just literally being disgusted because I was always in the hospital. And to me, that felt like I was a failure. And I compared myself really bad with other people. Growing up as an adult, like I said, I compared myself, still do. And a lot of times I will compare myself to how people post on social media, and that's something that's not good to do, you guys. It's really not, because the stuff you see on social media, that's not everything that's going on in people's lives. It's not what you should be like, Everybody goes through things in life, and it's not always gonna be rainbows and sunshine all the time. Everybody's gonna go through things, and they don't post that. I know for me, I used to go on Facebook and I'd bring up people's profiles that I went to school with. And this was before I had a house. Like, I moved into my house I have now, and before everything else. It was probably during the time when my ex left and when I was kind of homeless and everything. I'd compare myself to their lives. I see them getting new houses and new cars and having kids and having this happily full family and posting vacation photos and videos and all the fun they were having, the things they could do, and how successful it seemed to me. And then I would look at my life and see that I didn't have a wife, I didn't have a home, barely had a car, going through health issues. And I was just like, man, I'm not going anywhere in life. I'm not making anything of myself. Look at these people who went to school with me and it's doing so much better than me. Why can't I do that? Why can't I be as good as they are? And you get into like this repeat cycle where you constantly will just run things through your head of possibility that what if and could be, and if I did this differently, then maybe it'd be like this, and if I did that differently, maybe it'd be like so-and-so's life. Or like even now when I compare myself to other people at church or online, when I see them post things about how they heard God's voice or how they felt God during this moment, or how they did this with God and God told them this and they experienced something they'd never experienced before, that they fell to their knees or they fell on the floor or they couldn't move or whatever it may be. And I look at my life and I'm like, well, I don't experience that stuff. Does that mean that I'm a horrible person? Does that mean that God doesn't think of me the same as everybody else? Yeah, I beat myself up for it. And I tell myself, you need to do this different. You need to do that different. And do this and this and this so you can do like this and this and that. But then I really think about it. And I really think, like, it's not good to compare yourself to other people because you don't know what's going on with them. You don't know. And they don't know what's going on with your life. And just because they look like they're doing okay doesn't mean they are. And just because they are more, quote, successful, unquote, means that you're not. That's not what any of that means. What you need to do is look on your life and look at where you came from and where you are now. Just because you're not like someone else doesn't mean you're a failure. Doesn't mean that you should start beating yourself up and start thinking that you're not going to succeed. Doesn't mean that you fail at every little thing you do and that you'll never have that life that you want or that you think you want and you think it should be. Everybody goes through different scenarios in their lives, and we don't see it all. And how do you know that the person that you're comparing yourselves to didn't go through years and years and years of struggles and hurt and pain and working the hardest they can over and over, and them thinking they would never make it, them comparing themselves to other people and thinking they would never get there. And here you are looking at their lives, comparing yourself just because you think you're failing. Now, I will say, we shouldn't compare ourselves. However, there is something you can do, and it can be kind of hard to keep yourself from comparing every aspect of your life to them. And that is that if you see something they're doing that you know you can do, and you know that it can improve your life, and it's kind of like getting an idea of what you could do. Doesn't mean you're failing, doesn't mean you're a horrible person. You're just getting inspiration or an idea, and you're able to carry it out, and it helps your life improve. You can look for ideas, but please don't ever put yourself down because you think someone else is better than you. No one's better than anybody else. Nobody. Yeah, we may have skills that may be a little different than other people's skills, but we all have certain skills where we're able to do something that someone else can't do. And we have to start acknowledging that. We have to start looking at our lives and looking at what we've done and what we can do, and not comparing it and putting it down. You see, everybody experiences life differently, and everybody goes through things differently. What I've been through my entire life, I know not many people have been through, but I do know that there's people out there who have it worse. Way worse. I know that people out there, they may have it good, but at the same time, they're going through things too. And like I said in my failure episode, we need to acknowledge every step that we take to see and celebrate each step that we've taken towards where we are today, whether it's good or bad. Maybe you're going through something bad today and you're comparing yourself to everybody else around you and thinking that your life is horrible and all these people are having all these things that are going on that's so good to them. It's not fair. Life sucks. Why should I even try? Because you don't know how close you are. You never know how close you are to that moment. Life can change in literally like less than a second. Life can change. Before you can even blink your eyes, life can change. And we don't know how close we are to that moment of success, or to that moment of a breakthrough, or to even just a tiny baby step of something amazing and great. And we don't want to give up. You don't want to compare and think, well, I'm never going to get there because this person got there, but I'm nothing like them, so I couldn't do that. Yes, you can. It may look different. You may do it a different way, but you did it. I know for me, I only have one hand. And with that one hand I have, it's got very little fingers on it. They're short and only like 3 of them can move. In my right hand, I have no fingers, but I can do pretty much everything that everybody else can do that has 10 fingers. It looks different. It may even be weird looking, but I do it. It's done. I get it done. I succeeded in my own way. And that's what you need to look at. You're going through life in a way that you see and think is best. And what you see and think is going to be totally different than what someone else is going to see and think. And maybe your level of success would be different compared to other people's level of success. See, in this moment, during those bad times, we need to stop and acknowledge the good. There's always good. Even during bad times, there's good. Even if it's little things that you take for advantage. You're going through a hard time, but you're alive. You have breath going through your lungs. Your blood's pumping. You're experiencing life, and there's many others that won't ever experience it. There's a poem that I wrote a while ago, and I had made a little video for it, and it's called Life. And I was thinking of like nature and just how things are about in the world and how things work on a micro scale, like biological scale, how organisms work, how cells work, how atoms work, how your life works, and how things function, how trees grow, how the wind blows, how the earth rotates, how just all this stuff. And in all of that, even though things are going bad, all this good's going on. When you woke up this morning, that's a good thing. You were blessed with another day to experience life. And there's many that never got to wake up. There's many that's going through a loss right now. There's many that's going through a time where they're sitting in a hospital room and getting news told that they never wanted to hear. There's people experiencing their last breath. There's people experiencing their last moment of just hearing their loved one's voice, seeing things for their last time. And they take all that in. A lot of times when people talk to people who are dying, most of the time they don't talk about the whole aspect of them dying or all the bad stuff. They start talking about all the stuff that they're seeing that's good, like the birds singing outside your window, or the nice breeze that just blows through, seeing animals run about, hearing the laughter of a baby, the smell of a perfume of someone you love, or even the smell of the air, the crisp air. There's good going on all around us. And I know that in those dark times, it's hard to see. But just know that just because something bad's going on in your life does not mean you're a failure. Even if it's something that you've done, okay? If you've done something that you know is wrong, and you know that you shouldn't have done it, and you did it anyways, and because of that, your consequences are something bad going on in your life, even then, there's still good going on. But I know it's hard to think of. I know it's hard to see. It's hard to even fathom. So I just want to encourage you guys not to look at other people and compare yourself, because you will get to a level of success one day. You will come about to something that's amazing for you, and maybe it's not the same as someone else. And just because someone might seem like they have everything, there's more to life than materialistic things. So much more. I can remember when I was homeless and I didn't have hardly anything at all, and yet I was so happy just to be with my kids, just to hear them laugh and be able to feel them hug me and hold my hand or just talk with me or whatever it may be. I remember I was genuinely happy. There's going to be hard moments in our life, but just know that during those hard moments, you're getting better. Something I like to always say, and I'm sure I've already said it in other episodes, we have to go through hard times to come out better. Like iron being just a piece of metal, a form of metal, and we're just seeing it as a metal. But yet when you heat it up and you hit it and you beat it up and it goes through torture, and in the end it's shaped out to be some amazing thing like a sword or a structure or whatever it may be. Or like diamonds, how they were just carbon, and then they had to go through intense pressure, literally the entire earth push on it, and experience heat so intense. But then at the end, it comes out as a beautiful diamond. And that diamond didn't compare itself to other diamonds. Obviously, it can't because it's not self-aware or a living thing, but still, it just shines as bright as it can. Animals, they go about their lives. They don't compare themselves to other animals. And I know humans are different. I know. But I think that we need to take time. Don't compare ourselves to others, and know that God has the best for us. And it may take time because it's all in His timing. It's not in our timing. And it may take time, but when that time comes, you'll look back through all the hard times and realize that if you hadn't gone through all that, you wouldn't be as shiny as you are now. You wouldn't be as strong as you are now. And maybe those people that you compared yourself to, they don't have that strength that you do. They don't shine as bright as you do. Or maybe they don't have a skill that you've learned through all this. Where you're at may be exactly where you're supposed to be. And you may be on the path to something greater. And if you're not, keep trying. There's nothing wrong with keep trying. Even if you fail along the way, keep trying and try and try and try. And it may get exhausting. It may even get annoying at times, but you never know how close you are to something beautiful. But again, it's not good to compare ourselves because then we beat ourselves up. Instead, we should acknowledge and celebrate things together. See the success of someone else and be happy for them. Acknowledge it with them. Celebrate it with them. But don't beat yourself up because you didn't get to that point yet. You will. Celebrate every baby step. You are unique. You are who you're supposed to be, and who you are is right. And I myself have to keep reminding myself to not compare myself to other people because I don't know what they're going through. And I may have something they wish they had. And instead, I should just acknowledge and celebrate what they've done. And at the same time, celebrate and acknowledge what I've done. Because we all go through life differently. And you're loved exactly as you are. Every part of you is loved. Just because you may think you're a failure or you're a flaw, I can guarantee you 100% that you're loved. Whether it's by another human being, maybe your pet, but most of all, you are loved by God. Even if you don't think so. Even when times are rough and you think that God's not there for you. Or maybe you don't believe it, you know? And I know not everyone has the same beliefs. But me personally, I see you all loved. And you're all amazing and wonderful for who you are. Every one of you. Every one of you is beautiful in some way, form. And you look at somebody, there's beauty in everybody. And I've always tried to see that and point it out to people. Whether it's the color of their eyes, the shape of their eyelashes, whether it's the way their hair looks or way their smile, maybe the sound of their voice or them, you know? Everybody has something that's truly amazing and beautiful about them. And I want you to find that. Find that in yourself so you know that you're not a failure. And there's no reason to compare yourself to someone else and beat yourself up for it. You're wonderful. You're uniquely made. And I hope that after listening to this, and I hope I didn't repeat myself too much, but I hope after you listen to this that you feel better about yourself. Feel encouraged to know that you're alive and you're amazing. And there's thousands that will never be able to experience life. Thank you for listening. And thank you for taking time out of your day to just listen to this podcast. I hope it has helped you in some way. I hope it has made you feel a little better about yourself. And just know there's no reason to compare yourself because you are you. And that's a wonderful thing. God bless. You have just listened to Tea Time with Chris, a podcast filled with hope, faith, joy, love, and occasional laughter. We hope you enjoyed it and continue to stay up to date with us at teatimewchris.com. God bless.